The official exit poll for the UK general elections predicts a landslide victory for the Labour Party.
New controversial tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles imported to Europe are to officially come into effect from this Friday.
Good evening from Westminster, where we are witnessing here tonight a major political shift in the United Kingdom. Voting stations have closed across the country, and we have just seen that all-important exit poll with the predicted results of today's general election, and it does signal a Labour landslide. A huge win for the Labour Party, a staggering majority of 170 seats, meaning that Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, is now poised to become the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Now, this comes after 14 years of Conservative rule in the UK. We've had 5 Conservative Prime Ministers over the past 14 years. Now that's all set to change. Now, this is an exit poll. They are predicted results that could shift slightly throughout the night as the confirmed results come in from across the country. But let's take a look at those all-important numbers. Labour on 410 seats, the Conservatives on 131, the Liberal Democrats on 61, and the big shock of the night perhaps, Reform UK, the party of Nigel Farage, on 13 seats. The Scottish National Party in Scotland facing a difficult night, 10 seats, that's a big loss for them. The Greens at 2 seats, and this does mean that it's a big shift in terms of the seats in the House of Commons, particularly because the Conservatives are facing a really difficult night, and Labour has really gained many seats. Now, Labour has campaigned on a promise for change. There's a feeling across the country that things are simply not working well, a national health service that's under stress, public services that are fraying. Keir Starmer now has an opportunity to bring about that change. Europe will also be watching closely. Starmer has said he wants to tighten those ties between the UK and the EU that have been so strained since Brexit. But at a time when many of the governments in Europe are shifting towards the far right, here tonight in the UK, it's a big victory for the centre-left and for the Labour Party. Marit Gwynn for Euronews in Westminster.
The new European tariffs on electric cars made in China are to officially come into effect on the 5th of July. A measure that could raise tensions between Brussels and Beijing. The new tariffs will go from 17.4 to 37.6%. After a 9-month investigation, the European Commission accuses Beijing of unfair competition by subsidizing production and lowering prices.
There are significant interests, industrial interests and employment interests in Europe, and our investigation has clearly shown that there is damage being done through these unfair practices by China to the interests of EU industry, those who produce electric vehicles in Europe.
The purpose of the measure is to protect European industry. It has the support of countries with an important car industry such as France and Italy, but not Germany.
Wir müssen unbedingt dafür sorgen, dass diese Ausgleichszölle noch abgewendet werden. Deswegen begrüßen wir, dass die EU-Kommission und China jetzt miteinander reden. Warum? Weil wir wollten ja ursprünglich mit dieser Untersuchung etwas für die Wettbewerbsfähigkeit tun. Da muss man einmal sagen, für die Wettbewerbsfähigkeit machen Zölle erstmal gar nichts. Davon kriegen wir keinen besseren Zugang zu Rohstoffen. Dadurch werden die Energiepreise bei uns auch nicht günstiger und die Bürokratie wird auch nicht weniger. Hier muss Brüssel die eigenen Hausaufgaben machen.
The tariffs will remain in place until a final decision is taken in 4 months, which EU member states could block if they mount a qualified majority against the proposal. In the meantime, it may become clear what retaliatory measures China will take. Maintaining one's candidacy or pull out to block the road of the far right. This is the dilemma faced by the third-place candidates in the French runoff elections. In the northern city of Tourcoing, the left-wing candidate of the new Popular Front withdrew to give more of a chance to Macronist candidate and Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin. Having narrowly won the first round with 36% of the vote, he was closely followed by the far-right National Rally candidate. The France en Baude candidate explained himself.
C'était une décision qui n'était pas facile à prendre. C'est une décision qui a pris du temps aussi. J'étais pas sûr de la prendre jusque très longtemps. Il faut reconnaître que Gérald Darmanin, c'est pas un macroniste comme les autres. Malgré ça, je pouvais pas regarder les électeurs dans les yeux et leur dire que j'avais pas tout fait pour empêcher le Front National de passer.
A decision welcomed by the head of the Socialist Party of Tourcoing.
C'est une annonce cohérente qui est en rapport avec les recommandations nationales, mais aussi qui est en rapport avec les convictions de l'électorat de gauche, qui a toujours dans son histoire fait barrage au Rassemblement national.
On the ground, there are mixed feelings among voters as the second round approaches.
Ça veut dire s'ils se maintiennent, c'est certain, c'est le Front National qui va passer. Alors vaut mieux essayer de donner la voix à Darmanin.
Alors au premier tour, j'ai voté gauche, histoire de faire barrage au Rassemblement national. Mais pour le deuxième tour, j'hésiterai à voter Darmanin en fait, pour quand même faire barrage au Rassemblement national, mais je vais quand même prendre en compte tout leur programme.
Pour moi, ils ont peur du RN. Ils ont peur et ils veulent se défendre et dans tous les cas, ils y arriveront pas. La majorité l'emportera.
On a vraiment l'impression qu'on est dans un monde politique où ça se joue entre eux. Et qu'en fait, nous, on a l'impression d'être en dehors du jeu. Vous voyez ce que je veux dire? On a posé à qui la question de savoir si ces arrangements politiques, ils étaient bons. Ça suffit de dire qu'on fait barrage. On va faire barrage jusqu'à quand?
The strong participation in the first round increased the number of possible triangulars, a configuration where three candidates having obtained more than 12.5% of the votes are qualified for the second round. Of the 306 possible triangulars in the second round, only 89 will finally take place. 224 qualified candidates pulled out of the runoff election to avoid splitting the anti-far-right vote. The second and final round will be published on the 7th of July.
Crucial days are unfolding for the radical right in the European Parliament. The group of conservatives and reformists, which includes Italy's Brothers of Italy and Poland's PIS, has officially been established, increasing the numbers of its deputies to 84. This makes it the third largest group in the European Chamber.
Il peso politico si è spostato in maniera sensibile verso destra e questo renderà il ruolo dei conservatori europei particolarmente strategico perché baricentrico all'interno delle realtà politiche di centrodestra e quindi insomma questo naturalmente darà a noi la possibilità di essere particolarmente influenti.
Another radical right group, Patriots for Europe, was founded on June the 30th by Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban alongside nationalist parties from Czechia and Austria. This group has the potential to attract additional members, such as France's National Rally.
Some of these parties have a very pragmatist approach. They need a group in order to, have roles in the parliament, lead committees, and receive money. So eventually they might compromise. I still think it's more likely they would compromise in order to join Orban's new party rather than ECR.
These moves could mean the end of Identity and Democracy, the group in which the Lega and National Rally MEPs currently sit. At the moment, ID lacks the necessary numbers to form a group. The day of truth will be July the 8th, when both Patriots for Europe and Identity and Democracy hold their constitutive meetings.
The Israeli government has approved plans to build nearly 5,300 homes in the West Bank as part of a campaign to solidify control of the territory. Activist group Peace Now says it would be the largest seizure of land there in over 3 decades. The policy is being overseen by far-right nationalist finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, who is himself a settler and a long-time opponent of Palestinian statehood. Israel captured the West Bank along with Gaza and East Jerusalem in the 1967 Mid-East War, and Palestine wants all three territories to establish a future state. More than 500,000 Jewish settlers currently live in the West Bank, where they have Israeli citizenship. Meanwhile, the 3 million Palestinians living there are subject to Israeli military rule. Since the October 7th Hamas attack, Israeli forces have carried out near-daily arrest raids across the West Bank, destroying homes and killing more than 550 Palestinians, according to their health ministry. It comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reported to have sent negotiators to resume Gaza ceasefire talks. Hamas has also said it's given mediators its latest response to a US-backed proposal for a phased ceasefire.
Hurricane Beryl leaves at least 2 dead in Jamaica, according to local media, as it battered the island with 12 consecutive hours of strong winds and several months' worth of rain. It has claimed at least 10 lives across the Caribbean. After ripping off roofs and destroying farms, it moved away from the island late Wednesday, as authorities dismissed the hurricane weather warning. A flash flood warning is still in effect. Now Mexico braces for the impact.